Hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our viewers. My name is Tero. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at OpsVerse, and I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes. The topic of our webinar today is around NoOps, and during the next 30 minutes, we'll be discussing how GenAI is reshaping DevOps practices, some of the best practices when it comes to adopting GenAI in software engineering, and also talk about NoOps. What does this future look like? And joining me today, we have a very special guest, Arul Francis, co-founder and CEO of OpsVerse. Arul has spent more than 2 decades in the DevTools and DevOps domain. He has managed DevOps platforms at companies like Oracle, Ariba, SAP, Visa, and several AI startups. Welcome, Arul. Good morning. How's it going there?
Hey, Tiro. Thanks for hosting this fireside chat. I'm really excited to be here.
Great to have you here. All right, so we're super excited and can't wait to get started. But before we dive in, some housekeeping items for our audience. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them into the comment section below. Also, people streaming in directly into StreamYard, feel free to drop your comment section right over here. We'll try to answer as many as them. We'll be sending you an email post the webinar with all the Q&As. All right, with that, let's get started. So, Arul, what is the significance of NoOps, right? That's quite a new term for most of us, and I would like to begin the session with this question. So if you can, for our audience, if you can, help us understand what is NoOps, what is the significance of NoOps?
Sure. See, before we dive into that, I want to call out a shocking observation that I came across recently. Gartner made this observation. So recently, Gartner called out that developers today spend only about 10% to 25% of their time actually writing code. So let's think about that for a moment. So this means a typical developer out there is actually spending more than 75% of their time in non-coding activities. So this is where this whole operational toil happens. And you asked me about NoOps, Tiro. So NoOps is about eliminating this operational toil.
So NoOps is not about eliminating operation, but eliminating the operating toil, right?
Absolutely. And today, we have GenAI in the mix. And with GenAI, with the capabilities that GenAI brings in, we have the opportunity to completely eliminate this operational toil. So we are very close to realizing this grand vision of getting DevOps to a no-ops reality.
That's awesome. So Arul, Gen AI has been quite a buzz for some time, and we have seen it in various industries, especially in sales, marketing, customer success, right, where it's making it's been remarkably successful out there. But when it comes to DevOps altogether, right, it's not so much. So where does it stand, the DevOps plus Gen AI, our topic today? Why is this topic important now?
So, Tiro, you called it out very well. So, Gen AI has already transformed various industries. In our day-to-day life, we already use Gen AI to be more productive. For example, reading emails, writing content, searching the web, generating images, videos, whatnot, right? We use Gen AI in all these things. And if you look at our own software industry, software engineering industry, tools like GitHub Copilot has already transformed how we write code and how we create software. But here is the second shocker. When it comes to DevOps, GenAI is yet to touch any functions of DevOps. That's actually a shocking revelation for me when I looked at it. So imagine a future where, think about all the possibilities. If you bring this awesome GenAI capabilities and apply it to your entire DevOps pipeline. So that's the kind of future that we are building towards. So that's why it's very important to talk about how GenAI can impact DevOps.
Right, very, very interesting categorization of the inner loop and the outer loop. Uh, so can you tell us more, right? When it comes to this outer loop, how and why it is important?
Sure. Let's talk about the inner loop and outer loop. I talked about how GitHub Copilot is optimizing like code generation. So that's your inner loop of DevOps. That's where developers like create software. The outer loop is the whole code to cloud pipeline where we take this code all the way to the cloud and then like manage it there. So inner loop is optimized, and outer loop is where we see all of this operational toil. And as Gartner rightly called out, outer loop is where developers tend to spend most of their time. So, so it's very important to like focus on the outer loop and optimize the outer loop.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's one of the shocking observation. It's pretty much an eye opener also. So like spend time figuring out where your developers are spending, and productivity will increase by itself, right? So optimize where they're spending and productivity will increase by itself. So the outer loop, the criticality that you mentioned, is pretty clear now, and I think I understand the importance of outer loop. But and we have a lot of developers tuning in today. So if you want to maybe help our audience also understand, see what are some of the challenges developers are facing today when it comes to this. You mentioned the code to cloud pipeline, right? What are some of the challenges we're seeing there today?
Yeah, see, when we talk about the outer loop, that is where we see organizations using like more than 10 different tools in order to manage their whole DevOps pipeline, the outer loop. And if you're a developer or DevOps engineer listening to this today here, imagine a scenario where you get an alert from production. Think about all the things you need to do in order to debug that. You need to go to your observability system and look at logs. So you need to know that query language and all that, how to figure out the exact logs very quickly. Then you need to go to your metric system and look at relevant metrics. You'll have to look at your continuous delivery system to figure out what was the last deployment, what changes went as part of that, what were the dependencies and all that. And if you cannot do all this efficiently and in a time sensitive manner, that will have a negative impact on your company's business. Things like your MTTD, your MTTR, all of that will have a negative impact. So that's one class of problems. The other class of problems is like if you're a developer getting into a new team or a new company, then it actually takes months for you to understand that environment, understand the different tools used, understand how they are integrated, understand the different org specific processes and all that. So that's the other class of problems. So at OpsVerse, we have a name for all this. We call this as the tool stacks. So
Tool sets.
yeah, so it's
Tool
more
set.
optimized. Go ahead, Thiro.
No, sorry to interrupt your thought there. I was just the tool stacks. That's interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the tool stacks is where you have the whole operational toil in the outer loop. And if you are a company thinking about optimizing your developer pipeline, your DevOps pipeline, the tool stacks is what you should pay attention to.
Interesting, right? Tool stacks. You brought it up here. I mean, at some point in our career, all of us have gone through this. We started in a company, and it was pretty difficult, right? I'm sure all of our viewers also have gone through this, figuring out the different tools that were used within the org, and trying to figure all of them out before actually get going and before actually becoming productive. So let's talk about you have pretty much highlighted the challenges that's out there existing right now, the outer loop, why it is critical. But let's talk about some of the possible solutions, right? What do you think can solve this so-called tool stacks?
Yeah, again, if you are a developer, DevOps engineer here listening to this, I think we talked about the challenges you have in dealing with the outer loop. Now imagine some possibilities, right? In the future, what if you have an universal interface to talk to all your tools, irrespective of what tools are used in your team, what tools are used in your new company, imagine what if we have a universal interface, and imagine what if that universal interface is like completely conversational, so you can talk to that interface in like natural language. That kind of capability is what can actually solve the whole tool stacks. Also, when it comes to your own tools, imagine having tools that are self-configuring, self-optimizing, and self-securing. Imagine a possibility where your tools can come and tell you if something's wrong, and they can also like recommend the solution, recommend the fixes. So that sort of a solution is when you can eliminate tool stacks. And when we look at what options are available today, what kind of tech is available, Gen AI has the potential to solve all this. So we strongly believe that Gen AI can eliminate this tool stacks completely.
That sounds interesting, right? All of the possibilities that you have mentioned, and Gen AI is or could be the solution for all of this. Well, I mean, that sounds like science fiction. I can immediately think of Jarvis to Iron Man. But how close are we when it comes to reality for all of this, right? How close are we to reality?
So we are actually already there. We ourselves use DevOps Copilot internally, and we see several other companies using this as well. So we are already there. I'll give you a couple of examples. At OpsVerse, we started using GenAI like about 18, 20 months ago itself. We use it for code generation. We use it for the entire DevOps pipeline. So, for example, today our SaaS platform runs on all major clouds like AWS, Azure, and GCP. And if I see an alert that there is a disk running out of space, I can simply ask my DevOps Copilot to go fix it. Now, I don't have to know in which cloud that disk is, like what are all the steps to bump up the disk space, what commands to run, and all that. I simply have to ask the DevOps Copilot. So similarly, like if I see a system is slow, I can simply ask the DevOps Copilot to give me a report, and it'll actually go to all the analysis and get me an up-to-date report. So it's already here, and we already see several companies using this as well. So no longer science fiction.
Right. That's exciting. So let's zoom out a bit here, right? You mentioned the capabilities where, like, the Copilot can tell me that the disk has run out. It can automatically figure out and, like, fix it for me. What are some of the key capabilities that GenAI can bring to DevOps? Right? If you can highlight some of them.
Sure, let's talk about that. See, given the nature of Gen AI and LLMs, one of the key capabilities and conversational interface. So you can well and truly get a natural language conversational interface. And then when you look further, when we talked about the outer loop, it always involves interacting with multiple tools. And Gen AI can actually do really well. It can go talk to multiple tools, get info, and like create insights. And then when we push the envelope further, you can really create intelligent automation with Gen AI. And if you extend that further, you can create great developer self-service. So when we like talking to different organizations in the industry, we see that these are like the 4 key capabilities that you can actually build using the Gen AI tech.
Great. So let's dive into these capabilities one by one, maybe a little bit in detail. You mentioned conversational interface across tools and sites. The third one was the automation, workflow automation, and developer self-service, right? So the first one, the conversational interface, I think that's the easiest one, which most of us immediately can understand. Like, we have all been using ChatGPT. Is it something similar to that?
Yeah. Similar in experience, but there's a difference. When it comes to a DevOps Copilot, your DevOps Copilot is going to live within your environment, will have context of internal information, internal knowledge base, will have access to your tools. So the DevOps Copilot can leverage an LLM, but can give you contextual and specific answers. So it's going to be very different. The answers are going to be very different compared to like going directly to ChatGPT and like using a DevOps Copilot.
Yeah, good that you mentioned that it's going to live within your infra. It's going to understand and answer in context, because I see ChatGPT, the same question it'll give. If I ask like 10 times, it gives me 10 different answers, and I'm not sure which one is the right one. So that's fascinating. So let's talk about the other capability that you mentioned, the cross-tool insights, right? And I understand GenAI can do more than just answer questions based on your infra. How do you mean by this cross-tool insights?
Yeah, we talked about the outer loop. Often, if you're a DevOps engineer developer, when you're dealing with DevOps tools, you need to talk to multiple tools, like interact with multiple tools in order to arrive at like one insight, or in order to complete an action. So those are places where GenAI can go access it. For example, we talked about the production alert. In that case, a GenAI system can go look at your observability tools, run several queries, summarize info, and based on that info, now it can go to your continuous delivery tool, your Git, your version control, collect more info. Now, with all of that in one place, it can now summarize and extract insights for you. So this is something which is not possible with sort of other tech out there. Similarly, there are other use cases where you can use GenAI for like cross-tool insights.
Right, right. See, the one use case that I can think of right away is why is my cloud cost so high this month, right? And I'm assuming GenAI has the capability to go ahead and analyze where the spike is, and it could come back and throw me an answer like, yeah, because of your test environment, this month the cost is going high. This is the pattern, right? So would that
Absolutely.
be
Like we had a similar incident within OpsVerse last month when we were preparing for a big demo where we spin up a lot of instances, and our Copilot alerted us about turning them off after the demo. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And then there is automation, right? We have seen the conversational interface, and you've spoken about the cross-tool insights, how it is shaping things. But then there is automation. Like, how does GenAI, or how will GenAI take this to the next level?
Yeah, see the automation, intelligent automation. This is where we get into this your what you called as a science fiction territory. If you look at the previous generation automation, it was all about pre-programmed, rigid workflows. A Jenkins job here, a GitHub workflow there. That's how DevOps engineers like built automation. But when it comes to GenAI, you can well and truly create like dynamic, adaptable workflows because it can very easily understand the intent from a user's query. It can extract input from like an event or from a log entry, and based on that, it can construct the workflow. So this is where the science fiction happens, really. And you can also, to begin with, you can build some human in the loop automation so that someone can validate, and then you can apply the automation.
Right. All of this sounds very interesting and very promising. Like, but one other thing I'm pretty sure it's going through our audience's minds as well right now. What's going on my mind is how do we handle security when so much is going on, right? When GenAI is reading through your infra, it's giving you answers and also executing on your behalf. Like, how do you make sure security is there?
Yeah, very important question. We get this all the time when we talk about DevOps Copilot with our customers. Maybe we should talk about privacy first. I mean, this is where like the usual concerns are. Yeah, I mean, you are sending queries, sending a lot of data to an LLM. What is that LLM going to do with that data? Are they going to use it to train other foundational models? What is happening with that, right? That's the common question. So if you look at the maturity here over the last 18 months, the whole GenAI landscape has matured. So what we usually tell our customers is, if you look at the public cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP, today they all offer common popular LLM models in their platform itself. So we usually suggest our customers to start there. Use the LLMs that are offered within your own cloud platform. So if you are using Azure and you want to use OpenAI, you can actually always spin up Azure OpenAI service and use it from there. It also allows you to create this endpoint within the region where you want this to run, like within maybe in Europe, Singapore, India, like whatever is the region, you can spin it up there. Similarly, if you are an AWS shop or a GCP shop, you have all the common models available out there as well. So, and these cloud providers give you good guarantees on like how your data will be handled. It's almost like throwing your production data in a S3 bucket. Think of it that way. So things are mature. I think, yeah, I mean, and we see a lot of people adopting these models hosted on these platform.
Thanks, Arul, for sharing this insight. Before I dive into the next capability, we do see there are questions coming in. Just wanted to remind our audience, please feel free to drop your comments and we'll answer them towards the end of the webinar. So Arul, the next capability you spoke about, the developer self-service, right? And we've heard this many times, and I can immediately think of IDP when developers, but when and a solution like IDP as a self-service, but when developers actually hit a snag, they always turn to the DevOps team, right? So how do you mean by self-service here, and how can GenAI help here?
Yeah, so if you think about developer self-service, that's actually the holy grail of developer productivity and developer experience, DevX. And traditionally, if you're a developer here, if you need something from the other side, from your operators, you need to create a ticket. Like if you need access or anything like that, you need to create a ticket and wait for your ops team to like approve that and take care of it. And if you're an operator on the other side, you tend to get quite a lot of these tickets, and your entire day goes in just managing these tickets. So developer self-service actually solves the problem for everyone. And with GenAI now, the operators can really create new developer self-serve tasks in a no-code fashion. Conversationally, you can create these tasks, and developers can conversationally use these tasks and make use of these. So this is going to be a big game changer. When you actually create self-service using GenAI, it's going to be a big game changer in improving developer productivity and developer experience.
Great, Arul. Thanks. This is all great, right? But let's say if I'm in a software company, or a developer is trying to adopt GenAI, how can we leverage all of this, right? Where should we start? What are some of the recommendations, best practices, some of the tips that you can actually maybe throw in for our audience here, who is actually looking to get started or get adopting GenAI?
Sure. So when I think about that, I think about our own journey of adopting GenAI, and like how we saw several of our customers' journey as well when they went through adopting GenAI. So here is a quick blueprint. Like if you are thinking about bringing in GenAI into your organization, here is a quick blueprint. The first suggestion is like begin with a simple Q&A system. Build a knowledge base using techniques like RAG, so that now your GenAI system, your Copilot, can answer very specific questions. So implementing this alone will give you quite a bit of value internally. And then if you extending that, like integrate a couple of tools, couple of your DevOps tools with your Copilot. Now your Copilot has access to real-time data. It can actually fetch the current status of everything and then give you insights. And then like pushing that further, you can introduce human in the loop automation. So things like you can make your Copilot go create a pull request which someone can review and then merge. And finally, that's the era that we are currently in, where you can build agentic systems. You can create multiple specialized agents for different tasks, and let the agents collaborate and like accomplish your tasks. Today, we started developing the OpsVerse Copilot, DevOps Copilot 18 months back. And today, it's a context-aware agentic AI system. So this is a great way for you to like go ahead and start bringing in GenAI into your organization.
Thanks for sharing that, Arul. I'm sure our audiences are finding this very useful. Quick time check. We are about 5 minutes, to go on the webinar. But before I open it up for Q&A, I just want to take a couple of minutes to ask you this questionnaire, you touch upon how OpsVerse uses GenAI internally, right? Tell us about your journey, right, within OpsVerse with GenAI.
Sure. So we, like 18 months ago, we released the world's first DevOps Copilot, Aiden. Since then, we've been like rapidly evolving that product. We've been working with the early adopters of the product. So we added a lot of capabilities to the product. As I mentioned today, it's a context-aware agentic AI system, which can like seamlessly integrate with all your tools, and it actually brings most of the science fiction we talked about. It brings that to reality already. So if you guys are listening here, like go to the OpsVerse site and like check it out.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Arul. So I'm sure our audience are finding this very insightful. Like, we went through some of the capabilities that GenAI can execute, some of the best practices, and like, anyone who wants to actually go over and try OpsVerse's Copilot Aiden, feel free to go to the website and check it out. So let me quickly take this time to open up for Q&A. We do have a few questions from our audience. I see the first one coming in here. Let me read it out for you. So if I have, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can see there, right? So we have one, GitHub Copilot is useful for scaffolding, can help developers with 50% of code they would typically write from scratch. But can you say no dev, or I'm thinking it's NoOps, right? Don't you think NoOps is conversely is an overstatement? That's a very interesting question. What do you have to say on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have thought through that statement, Tamer. See, I don't want to comment on no dev. I think that's a future thing. I don't think we'll get to a no dev. I think we need like software developers like building these complex systems. See, when it comes to no ops, I think that's where I want to like clarify. No ops doesn't mean like eliminating operations. It means eliminating the operational toil, right? I mean, there's quite a lot of wastage when we deal with outer loop. So you have these developers writing great code. Now they end up spending like 75% of the time not writing code, in like taking that to production and managing that in production. There's a lot of wastage, a lot of time they are waiting for things to happen, like they're dealing with unwanted things, they're dealing with these tools. So in our opinion, no ops is about like removing that whole operational toil from DevOps. And we think it is possible. We are already like seeing that happening with folks who are using GenAI and Copilots.
Great. So also I think there is a follow-up question from Tamer. Also from security and data privacy perspective, such as for fintech institution, is self-hosted OpsVerse platform an option? That's a very interesting question, right? Arul, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think bang on, right? So see, we have this, it's a spectrum when it comes to the privacy tolerance. It's a spectrum. There are some companies okay to send all their data out to a different vendor, but there are other industries like healthcare and fintech where they would, there are compliance reasons, security reasons where they don't want any of their metadata or data leaving their network perimeter. So OpsVerse, actually, we solve this problem using our private SaaS framework. So we pioneered a private SaaS framework where the OpsVerse platform can orchestrate and run all the tools, including the Copilot, like within the customer's network, but still it manages everything remotely. And when it comes to specifically GenAI and LLM, like we do make use of like self-hosted LLMs as well in this case. So even the LLM access, like nothing leaves your premises, your infrastructure. So everything can like stay in those cases, can stay within your own network. So that's possible, and we make that possible with the OpsVerse platform.
Yeah, we do have a few other questions which have come in, Arul, but in the interest of time, we'll take one more question. So this question is around when is Aiden, OpsVerse DevOps Copilot, going to be available to the public? Can I sign up for an early access?
Yeah, so it's already available right now. There is early access is open. There's an active wait list. Like, if you're interested to give it a try, like go ahead and fill up the form, and like we'll do everything possible to like get you in as quickly as possible. And we expect this to be like generally available, like open for anyone to sign up by like early December. So exciting times ahead.
Great. So yeah, we for everyone who is sending questions over here, thank you for all of that. We will be sending you emails with the Q&A. Once again, Arul, it was lovely chatting with you. I'm sure our audience found this very informative. I found it there were a lot of key takeaways for me. Thank you everyone for your time, and we look forward to bringing you more insightful webinars, firesides. And if you want to learn more about OpsVerse and how we have been working on helping several DevOps teams globally, do reach us out. You can visit www.opsverse.io. You can also scan the QR code that's available on the screen. That's for access to Aiden, and and follow us on LinkedIn for more insightful updates and regular updates. Yeah, thank you everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Yeah, good day.
Bye.